today. Today we have Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addiction, the Honourable Mike Ellis, and we also have Edmonton's Chief of Police, Dale McPhee. Minister Ellis is going to be first to speak. Minister, the podium is yours.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Eric, and certainly Chief McPhee. Great to see you as always. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Mike Ellis. I'm the Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addiction for the province. I'd like to thank Edmonton's Police Chief Dale McPhee and all the partner organizations for having me here today. As we all know, this has been a very tough time for many Albertans, including those with addiction and mental health challenges. As a former police officer myself, I've seen how easy it is for vulnerable individuals to get caught in the system without going anywhere. This puts pressure on police services, the justice system, and does not lead to good outcomes for Albertans. Recognizing this, the Edmonton Police Service, in collaboration with local community organizations, created the HELP teams, the Human-Centered Engagement and Liaison Partnership, or HELP. Teams were launched earlier this year. The team, which partners with police constables and social navigators, work to identify and meet the needs of vulnerable Albertans. The focus is on helping those most at risk, becoming entrenched in the judicial system or harming themselves or others in the community. I'd like to commend EPS and their community partners for developing this innovative collaboration. Today I'm pleased to announce that Alberta's government is helping everyday Albertans by providing $600,000 to expand the HELP teams. Police services are an essential extension of the community, and we are thrilled to partner with them in a shared approach to treating mental health and addiction as a healthcare issue. With additional resources, the Edmonton Police Services HELP teams will be able to help more vulnerable Albertans access healthcare and social supports. We're working closely with all of these partners to help people enter recovery and lead to a full and productive life. The $600,000, the Alberta Health will be used to hire additional social navigators to partner with existing EPS personnel. Addiction and mental health issues are complex and require innovative solutions across multidisciplinary teams. Those who are on the front lines, such as police officers and community partners, have been working tirelessly together to help Albertans. I'd like to thank everyone who has shown great compassion and collaboration to make sure that every Albertan who needs support receives support. I would also like to thank Mayor Sohi for our productive relationship with the city. Thank you, and I'll ask Chief McPhee to say a few words and maybe provide some more details on the HELP teams. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning. Certainly I want to acknowledge that we're on Treaty 6 territory. It's given us the foundation. It's certainly the foundation for this building of partnership and working together for better outcomes for people in need of services. I want to start by thanking Minister Ellis personally and your team for your commitment and working with EPS to help drive change. This is a monumental investment in the city's future. I'm proud of our members, many who you see today, for the hard work and that they have done and continue to do. Their dedication and passion for changing how we as police do our jobs has proven how valuable social policing really is. What's even more powerful is how they've shown such great impact in less than a year since HELP officially launched. In the first 9 months of HELP's presence, we saw a 7% decrease in calls for service compared to the 2020. Through focusing on those persons, of which many are struggling with severe addictions problems, and of which many are also compounded with mental health struggles, and being relentless with our partners is the follow-up, because they matter, and this sends that message. Just a few stats to put it in perspective. The types of calls that we're seeing reduced: trouble with person down 10% from last year, trouble with intoxicated person down 18%, theft under $5,000, which we know is a closely related crime, down 17%. Suspicious persons down 23%. Trouble not known down 8%. As you can see, most of the 7% decrease is found in the same calls for service that our community members are most heavily involved in, most often, many times, over and over and over. To be clear, although we can't completely say that this is help alone, certainly that help is the only reason for the reduction, but I don't think it's a coincidence. In the 6-month evaluation presented to the Police Commission is something that I'd encourage all of you to have a look at. It's a public document. This success is thanks to our growing list of partners who are directly involved with changing the lives of our community members. We have said since 2019 at EPS, it's time for us to get under our community partners, to provide support as well as help them measure impact so success doesn't just be a one-off program that struggles to be funded, but making success something that you're focusing on scaling up. I like to specifically thank, and many of them are here today, our partners at Boyle Street Community Services and the Mustard Seed, as they provided the civilian navigators and thus complete the other half of our teams. With this announcement, we look forward to building on this program again with a focus on measurement and outcomes for people in need being at the center of the work. Folks, these teams are making a difference. These teams have allowed us to focus, allowed us to look at crime with a human-centered focus that asks why this person is in this situation, and our partners provide us for a second option of how we can handle the situation. Instead of just arresting the individual and likely meeting them in a similar situation again, and again, we can offer an off-ramp into supports to end the arrest, remand, repeat cycle completely. Now, I'd like to take a minute to acknowledge our members here today, many from the CSWB Bureau. When it started, it was the only one in North America. 2 years ago, we asked them to think different. We asked them to act different and measure different. It was new to most, but I can say they have embraced it and they have led the change and are now seeing the results of their hard work. And this is rewarding and bodes well for the future of our city. For this, I want to thank each and every one of them publicly for their tireless efforts, because they truly are the ones that have built the foundation to making the difference. These same efforts are leading change in CSWB, among other things like our accelerator that have had Edmonton Police Service had visits from Vancouver, Toronto Police, RCMP, Delta, Contact Through Montreal, Peel, Ottawa, Medicine Hat scheduled to come in. Our hope is that others take the things, bring innovation to it, and it pushes us to become better, because this is changing community safety and well-being. This isn't moving money around. This is partnerships. This summer, thanks to another partner, the Cates Real Estate Group, we were able to acquire this building that we're in here today for our social policing division's operations. But this building is not just for EPS. The Union building is one home to our help and many of our partners. We, EPS and partners, have created a hub of health, social, and justice stakeholders who are now able to work together to provide complete wraparound support to meet the community and the members' complex needs. For those of you who have heard of hubs or situation tables, or perhaps you've even heard many refer to cahoots in Oregon, as one of the founders of hubs several years ago with a significant understanding of cahoots and actually presenting to them, I'm telling you this is hub 2.0, perhaps 3.0. This is that relentless follow-up that the others in relation to hubs didn't have. So it's not the first iteration, it's looking into the future. Co-location has already bridged gaps in our working relationships, reduced redundancies, and provided efficient service to our community members. We are no longer working in silos only to meet the need of many. We are no longer temporarily fixing the immediate situation. We are taking the time to listen and learn from our clients. We're hearing their stories, understand them, how they got to this point in time. We're acknowledging their compilation of unmet basic and complex needs, as the minister has spoken to very eloquently. In doing all of this, we are planning the new lives out of the justice system. This is how we make sustainable changes in our vulnerable communities. Again, I want to personally thank Minister Ellis, your team, for working several months. Your leadership on this file has helped us start to change the course. A course which has been burdened with all kinds of problem identification, and a lot of people identify the problems, but you've taken the leadership to focus on a solution. Obviously, this is one of those solutions, and for that, we are grateful. And for that, let's continue on the journey, the courage to do things differently, not to just continue to do the same things and ask for more of it. Let's challenge the status quo because it's really about the people who need our help the most. And for that, we're very grateful for the minister and certainly his staff for working on us with this for several months. And we look forward to that continuing relationship to bring better outcomes to this space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now do questions. If I could just ask media, please state your name, your outlet, and who your question is directed to. We'll start here in the room. We've also got questions on the phone. So to the reporters in the room, do we have anyone up? Okay, we'll go to the phone line. Operator, could you put through the first caller, please?
Yes, the first question is from Sarah Ryan, Global News. Please go ahead.
Hello, this question is for Chief Dale McPhee. Chief McPhee, can you explain how far does this $600,000 go? How many social navigators is it going to fund?
That's going to get us an additional 6 navigators to work with our staff. That's a huge boost to scaling up. We currently have 10, I believe, and this will give us 16. So we're actually starting to get to the point where we're going to continue to push to drive these stats down and obviously get people to connected to the services they need. And we're not just going to focus on one, we're going to focus on those individual needs. So it's pretty big.
Thanks, Sarah. Did you have a follow-up?
I do, please. Also for Chief McPhee, can you just talk us through how this works? Say, for example, I call in a report for trouble with intoxicated person. What does the help team do? Who goes? How does it work?
There's a good chance that initial call is going to be taken by patrol, and then it's going to be referred to by patrol, or it's going to be referred to through one of our agency partners and some of the contacts they have. And this focuses on the relentless follow-up. So if you think about this, the initial call generally happens. What their whole focus of this is to stop the 2nd, the 3rd, the 15th, the 20th, the 50th, the 100th, the 200th, or better yet, just moving people around and not getting any outcome of it. So we do it again tomorrow and the next day. So the focus of a help is working with partners with combined expertise to take away that system that we see play out on our streets. And, you know, being located in downtown, there's no more prominent place than downtown Edmonton. So that's the focus.
Operator, can you please put through the next caller?
Thank you, Amanda Anderson, CTV.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. This is for the chief. Can you just speak to what specifically the role of a social navigator is? I've heard it talk about the team, but specifically the role of the social navigator.
You know what? I think best yet, I'm going to bring somebody up to speak on this, and they'll tell you exactly what they do and how it's making a difference. Great question.
So my name is Natasha Ranville. I'm a navigator with the Boyle side. So I just need you to repeat the question. I got a little stressed out.
If you can hear me, basically my question is just what specifically is the role of a social navigator?
So our role specifically is to connect people to the services that are already in place and to find the exact service they need. So our mandate is, like, we will help people get ID, birth certificates. We connect them to housing workers, addiction workers, doctors, and then support those people we connect to help better the lives of our community members. So we'll connect, we'll help with court, because a lot of times people don't know when their court dates are, so we'll assist them getting to court, making sure that their basic needs are met, and then working with the other facilities to have a continuous quality of life for our clients.
Thanks, Amanda. Did you have a follow-up?
Can I just add to that? So that's the key to the partnership right there is we have expertise with lived experience that deals with individuals every day that they're comfortable talking. The police obviously provide safety in the mechanism. The police are generally taking these calls and we take them over and over and over again. What this is really doing is putting that team together with the combined expertise to just stop this vicious cycle that many of our vulnerable population are entrenched in. And as you've heard both Minister Ellis and I say, a large part of this is addictions driven. A large part of it obviously is connected to mental health. And honestly, the traditional response for quite some time for many, many different, not just in Edmonton, but others, is just to continue taking the calls with no relentless follow-up. These people are following up with relentless follow-up. Matter of fact, the other day I heard a personal good news story where they took somebody to Calgary area to do some equine training, and this individual, they're actually measuring it on a qualitative and a quantitative analysis. And the quantitative piece is quite simply is we're seeing the reduction in calls for service. We're seeing the same people not coming back into the justice stream. And ideally, success is that we continue to keep them out of the justice stream and give them a chance to succeed, which honestly, most of them have done before. We've come up short in this, certainly in other areas, and it's not because people are not putting out a lot of effort. But if you look at one-dimensional approach to this, whether it's just for a sake of, and because all of this is part of the continuum, but if you just look at, safe injection as the only solution and you don't have the rest, that's not going to work. If you just look at housing at the end of the solution as just part of it, that's not going to work. What this is trying to fill that middle gap to get the readiness and help people deal with their struggles so they can move through the system seamlessly and get to a path of recovery.
Amanda, did you have a follow-up?
No, that's it.
Operator, you can put through the next caller.
Thank you, Darcy Rothjam, City News.
Thank you. This question is for Chief Dale McPhee. You talked a lot about how calls are going down. There's positive impact getting these folks into treatment. Can you talk a bit about the reaction from Alberta's vulnerable community when it comes to building relationships with police? Some who I assume maybe have an uneasy relationship with police or perhaps a distrust of police, perhaps?
I'll give you what we're seeing through a lot of the commitment to action, and then I'm going to bring our colleague from Boyle Street up to see what she's seeing on her side of it. But from our going into commitment action, some of the things that we've seen is people just want that humane approach in relation to how we can help. And I've been able to talk to many different people on the street through walk-alongs, et cetera. And generally that police officer, in a lot of cases when people have found their way to recovery, has been that contact with the police. But the police alone aren't just enough. It's the partner who can do and unlock and do some things and talk to people in a manner so that to the point that you've made, if they're not real comfortable with the police, that team approach really alleviates that. And they see both the human component of the police officer, but also of the navigator who has a different trusted relationship. So I think it's only going to increase as we go, and that's why we're excited to expand. And again, thanks to Minister Ellis and his team for making it happen, but we're going to give you another side of that.
No. Okay. So I'll just add to what Chief McPhee said is that the EPS did a wonderful job in choosing their constables for this unit. All our constables are kind, compassionate, trauma-informed, giving people, and even when we approach a community member that may, quote-unquote, hate the pigs, after a conversation with our constables, a lot of times they won't even contact the navigators anymore. They go right to the constable. That is their main touch point in getting their needs met. So our officers, even beats, patrol, they have a really good way of seeing the humanity in our community members and focusing on that instead of the negative, bad things, because we, as quote-unquote good people, have sometimes done bad things in our lives, and our constables are really good at seeing the difference between the two.
Darcy, did you have a follow-up?
Yes, this concept of social policing that Chief McPhee, you mentioned a little earlier. I know in the summer of 2020, for example, that was something that was talked about very publicly, is police's role in responding to these mental health, domestic kinds of issues. This social policing concept, is this something that we could see expanded to other areas of community policing?
Oh, well, yes, and I mean, not just here, but others. As I said, I think there's a list of about 10 major police services that have been through here. So just to walk you through that, and you know, having been across the world on some of this stuff, it's kind of taking some of the things that we've learned. First of all, police are always going to be involved in these calls for service. I mean, you know, when you're dealing with an unpredictable population, struggling with a lot of things that they're struggling with, whether it's addictions, throw in meth that makes good people do unpredictable things, you know, throw in the mental health piece, there's the chance from the safety thing that police are going to be always at the center of this. So rather than us being the center forever, what this is that good handoff, good partnership approach that we're looking at this from a multidimensional lens. And I've always used the language, the role of the justice system should be to jail the people we're are afraid of and not the ones we're mad at. And I think that's important. And if we can work with our partners to sort the intake, because when I was in charge of corrections, what actually happens if you put low-risk individuals with high risk in corrections, they all become high risk. So if you just work that backwards from a reverse engineering perspective, there's an opportunity to put those partnerships at the front end, and it's basically a law enforcement public health approach. If you think of the social determinants of health, they're the same as the social determinants of justice. I mean, just change the title. But it's time to think different. And, you know, to your point that you made, everybody thinks this is about moving money around. There's enough money in this system to pay for this 10 times over, $7.5 billion actually every year in the social safety net. What Minister Ellis has championed here as a person that's got lived experience of himself working on the streets is, and his team with actual lived experience as having lived on the street, what they've basically given us is an opportunity to think differently and act differently, and realizing the ultimate goal is the outcome with the people in the center to get them some outcomes. And it's not trying to herd them into a stream, whether it be a harm reduction stream, which, and I want to be very clear, we need that too. This isn't either or. This is about making sure that we have a continuum of services to help these people and help them with their needs and not what we think their needs are.
Thanks, everyone. That's all the time that we have, so we'll wrap it up there. We're going to head outside and do some shots, so media can come out with us there.